From Interlagos back to the United States, this massive season of Simshed Broadcasting supercar action continues. The RSRA SuperSeries for Goodyear Autocare Warana heads to round 7 tonight. The first of a 3-week swing through America, the final 3 American rounds of the season. Lexington, Ohio first up, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Pivotal point of the championship. We've been saying that for a while. I think we're going to say it for a few more weeks yet. And we're just 33 days out from the big dance, that 1,000-kilometre, just that gentle stroll around the mountain in Bathurst. Good evening, everybody. Zach Cabin and JP alongside you tonight for our exclusive coverage of round 7 of the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Better known as a venue for IndyCar racing. Tonight, we're going to go tin top style and looking forward to it immensely. We'll have a look at the race info in just a moment. But JP, good evening and welcome to you, mate. Split qualifying format for this round of the championship. Just walk us through that off the top. And unsurprisingly, the big names have risen to the fore as we edge closer to the end of this session.
Yeah, good evening, Zach, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, viewers all around Australia and all around the world. Yeah, so tonight a little bit different. We've got our split qualifying format due to the fact that this is a fairly tight sort of course and letting 31, 32 odd drivers out on this course might cause a little bit of chaos. So what we've done is we've allowed the bottom half of the championship to go out first, to have a 15-minute qualifying session, then a 5-minute break, and now the top half are out doing their qualifying run.
Indeed they are. Let's come back to that in just a moment. Let's have a look at the championship standings if we can, JP, as we come into this round and remind everybody where things sit, because after the second and final lead up to Bathurst Enduro last week, Rehan Leonage is still the championship leader. Incredibly important result for him last week because he's managed to put 29 points between himself and Rainer Costello. Sean McNamara, and that was on the back of a late race penalty for Rainer, you might recall. Sean McNamara is third on 852 points, so it's starting to tighten up there in the battle for second and third. Jamie Dyke is fourth, and then Blake Delaney is a long way back in fifth, ahead of Jared Bailey and Dylan Rudd. Things are tight there between fifth and seventh. Dan Alessi and Craig Schultz, nothing in that. And, of course, a good gap then back to Simon Chadwick making up the top 10. We'll let you have a look at where your favourite drivers sit. Brian Borg, disappointing season for him. He's 11th, but back on the grid tonight. David Kirby, Matthew Scholes, Brian Good, Lindsay Hobbs, you name them. They're there. A good array of drivers as we edge towards the end of the season. 160 kilometres around here tonight. That's the graphic at the top of the screen there for you, Mid-Ohio 160. But JP, we've got 3 sprint rounds left. We've got the super sprint next week from Road America, which we'll detail in depth a little bit later on. But tonight, it's an out-and-out sprint race, 160K. And we know that Rehan Leonage has been the form man in these sprint races with his undercut strategy, if you like.
Yeah, Rehan has been doing a fantastic job with that undercut strategy, but I think the other drivers are starting to sort of catch on to that, and they're covering him off fairly well. Very interesting here. We've had Mouge 88 has asked the question, do the top half get an advantage of having the track rubbered in? Actually, with iRacing, it's a little bit different. The more rubber you get on the track, the greasier the track gets, and actually you lose grip. So if anything, the top half get a slight disadvantage, but it doesn't really matter because we have everything to be set on dynamic here. So no one really knows what the track conditions are going to be like until they actually get on track.
And as you'll see when we have a look at the qualifying results very shortly, folks, it hasn't had any effect whatsoever on the top end of town. Dylan Rudd still found his way to the top ahead of Rehan Leonage. Only 0.2 of a second, the margin there. And then, 2 inches of bugger all separating Leonage and Costello. McNamara, Kirby, Delaney, Jones, Dyke, Pereira, and Morris making up the top 10. Cameron Jones back on the grid. Good to see. Outside that, Simon Chadwick, Brenton Nitschke, Jamie Davis, Hayden Norris, and Matthew Scholes. We'll have a look at the results in more detail in just a moment. JP, we're about to go and ride on board with the safety car for a lap of Mid-Ohio. We'll do that in just a moment. But before that, let's have a look at the race, the race facts, the info, as we head into the Mid-Ohio 160, round 7 of the RSRA Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries. It's a 3.62 kilometre circuit, 45 laps, the journey tonight. Fairly lengthy race in every sense of the word. 162.9 kilometres is the race distance. 72 kilometres an hour is the speed limit along pit lane. Fuel restriction tonight, 55.5 litres. We are anticipating that there'll be 2 pit stops with the fuel burn of 2.85 litres a lap. 19.47, it's telling me, is the fuel range there on those numbers. So expect that to eke out to 20. But then that also means that if we get a couple of safety cars, JP, there's a real distinct chance that these guys could do it on one stop. I'll get your thoughts on that in just a moment. But it also means that if you're going to play the undercut with like Rehan Leonage does, lap 25 would be the earliest you could come in and get that fresh set of tyres for the run home. Maybe, I don't know what tyre wear is going to be like tonight, whether you want to come in that early or not. We'll wait and see. Of course, alternatively, if there's an early safety car, someone might come in on lap 5. Who knows? But yeah, 20 looks like a good number for that first round of pit stops tonight. But it also means that you've got the ability to have a bit of a play with how you do this for the second stop, because whilst the guys will make a habit of stretching it out as far as they can in the first stint, you've now got an enormous window for that second stop, whether it's going to be early, 5 laps, 20 to get us home, perfect, or whether they stretch it out and it's 10 and 15, 12 and 13. There's so many different variables there. So that second round of pit stops, that's going to be a wide window that we'll need to keep our eyes on pit lane for, and bearing in mind that the critical number will be lap 25 on the numbers that we've just crunched there. 2 sets of tyres as per usual, the set to start on, and of course the set they finish on. 9th of November 2021 is the race date. 3:40 in the afternoon is the service start time for this race. And that's 16 hours behind Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So what does that equate to? 7:40 a.m. the next morning for us. 24 degrees is the air temp, 25 on track, 8 kilometres an hour wind speed, and heading in the southwesterly direction as well. Now, this will be interesting to see where we go from here. I just got a message from Race Control, but it's on an unrelated matter, so I'll get back to Jonathan a little bit later on. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. But JP, it's going to be a very interesting night, especially with that wide range on the fuel spectrum that we were just talking about. Overtaking, there are a couple of genuinely good opportunities around here. Let's go for a lap with the safety car and have a look at the Mid-Ohio course.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this course demands a lot of respect. It doesn't look like much, but she's a tricky one to get around. The last turn always is crucial to get a good run out of here. Now, with the supercars, they're all the way across to the other side of the track there. And as they turn in, they take a little bit of curb there on the pit entry. On the power, nice and early. Coming up to this, for want of a better word, hairpin. So hard on the brakes here. They shift down second gear. Some of the drivers will use first gear to help slow the car down. Early shift into second gear and they bang out of this corner nice and fast. start going through the gears. Now they got to remember, you can't buzz the engine on the supercar. Every time you do, it'll cost you 1/10 of a second. So they're trying to get nice, smooth gear shifts. They get across all the way across. With the Porsche, they can use a lot less road, but here, brake hard, turn in. Up this section here, on the brakes to help the car turn in, nice and close to the track. Move all the way across over. And here, the supercars take plenty of curb on both of these corners here. Coming through this one here, they take a bit of curb here, head down as though they look like they're going to go off track, and then they turn in, take some curb here, straighten their wheel up really quickly as they get over that little hump. On the power, nice and fast, through this section, nice and close to the wall there. Slowing it down, third gear. Second gear to this corner, they take plenty of curb here again, straight line into the next section. Turn in on the gas nice and quickly, and they try to get a good run out for the lap.
Very nicely done, JP. And we've got about a minute before the drivers will start lining up on the grid here. Have you got a tip for me?
Mate, it is so difficult to tip anyone, every week. There are a lot of form drivers, I think young Rayner is due for a win and due for a little bit of luck. He made a wrong call in last week's race, and it was great to see that he put his hand up and said, "Yep, I made that call." Wasn't happy about it, but he accepted it. I think he's due for a win. Having said that, though, Dylan Rudd, he's absolutely masterful around this track. If he gets out to an early lead, he's going to be difficult to catch.
Yeah, he's going to be gone. Absolutely. Let's have a look at the grid at that point in time, because we've got the qualifying results available to us here, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you it's Dylan Rudd and Rehan Leonage will share the front row tonight, and Rainer Costello and Sean McNamara on the second. 7 Holdens, 3 Fords in the top 10. David Kirby, great result in qualifying for him. Let's see if he can convert it alongside Blake Delaney. Then Cameron Jones and Jamie Dyke from row 4, and Dylan Pereira and Ben Morris from row 5. Morris had a good run last week, if memory serves. Over the page we go. Row 6 will be where you find Simon Chadwick and Brenton Nitschke. Row 7, Jamie Davis and Hayden Norris. Row 8 will be Matthew Scholes and David Coleman. Row 9, Rick Sibber and Simon Vella. Row 10, Robert Crisdale and Sam Noble. Row 11, Robbie Bradbury and Bruce Tunnock. Row 12, Peter Crossingham and David Nash. Row 13, Dean Alessi and Craig Schultz. Row 14, Justin Pennefather and Brian Good. Row 15, Brian Borg and Chris Barnes. A lot of Fords down towards the back end of the field, you might have noticed in all of that as well. Just outside that, we can tell you that Lindsay Hobbs will start from 31st, and Scott Barchin will round out the 32-car field, round 7 of the RSRA Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries. Tuesday night motorsport on the platforms of SimShed, broadcasting across Facebook and YouTube, wherever you're tuning in around Australia. Great to have your company. We'll interact as best we can with the comments that come through on social media throughout the course of the night. Already a few rolling in there. And the tip from Will Jesberg, be good to your mother. Not necessarily a driving tip, but a general life skills tip. Getting set to fire. It's an interesting start line here with most of the field backed up around the last corner. Set to go now, green away. Pretty even start. Dylan Rudd's got the jump. No surprise there. Leonage come across quickly to cover up Rainer Costello, who wanted to hang on the outside but eventually decided to yield and tuck back in. McNamara under early pressure as well from Kirby side by side as they head down towards turn 2. Great conversion off the start from Dylan Rudd. This is exactly what you talked about, JP. If he gets going, good luck catching him.
Yeah, he had an absolutely brilliant start. Rehan had a great start as well. But look at Rayner. He is looking incredibly racy. He wants to make up positions. Oh!
Jeez. Look at this. Early on, the elbows are out. Costello's got by Leonage. Big move. Costello's on a march. Further back, it's McNamara ahead of Cameron Jones. A good start up 2 positions. David Kirby, Blake Delaney have dropped 1 each. Jamie Dyke 8. Ben Morris has swapped around. We've got Craig Schultz off the circuit, rejoining down in 25th. Actually, no, it's not Craig Schultz. It's Simon Chadwick off the circuit early on. has dropped 19 positions, and Peter Crossingham 8. So we'll be interested to see if the safety car makes an appearance early here. Hopefully not, but we'll wait and see as they come back around for the first time. And we're still good. We're still green. Across the line, Cameron Jones riding on board with him in 5th position. I'll be interested to see what happens between Chadwick and Crossingham and the like. But for the moment, let's focus on the front end of town. Dylan Pereira, big loser off the start, from 9th back to 13th. Ben Morris up from 10th to 9th, and Jamie Davis from 13th up to 10th. Make up the top 10 at this point in time. Nitschke, Coleman, Pereira, Norris, and Crisdale make up the top 15. You're riding on board with Cameron Jones, back to the race leader, Dylan Rudd. Raider Costello trying to go with him, 2 of 45 in Lexington, Ohio. Through they go. Remember, incident points were a talking point last week. A couple of drivers elapsed the incident points, got the penalty from iRacing internally, and put pay to their night. We'll wait and see if that might be a factor here. I wouldn't assume so, because everyone seems to be on their best behaviour thus far, but stranger things have happened, JP.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a really interesting race, and you know, everybody at this stage has got to be looking to make as many points as possible. And look, the reality is pole position will give you 1 bonus point, but a clean race will give you 5 bonus points. So you really want to be looking for that clean race.
And in the past, pole was giving you 5 bonus points as well. So that's why the elbows were often out in qualifying. But now there's less incentive on that and more incentive on keeping it clean for 162 kilometres. That's the race distance tonight, Australia. Great to have you along for the ride. We are commercial free for what should be just over an hour of racing, pending, of course, safety cars and the like here as well, as they make their way through one more time. Here's a replay of what unfolded, this early garbage. Further back in the pack, a couple of cars getting tangled up. Simon Vella, Peter Crossingham, I think, were involved. Yeah. So that was rather unfortunate, but at least they gathered it up, cleaned it up, and kept us caution-free at this point in time. Going to be a long way back for Chadwick. Lindsay Hobbs already in pit lane, pitting at the end of lap 2 there. Car 90 is going to cop a drive-through penalty for contact on car 12 on lap 1. That's Scott Barchin on Lindsay Hobbs, so that explains why Hobbs is in pit lane. And Simon Chadwick, it's going to be a long night for him, JP. That early race incident saw him plummet down 15 positions from 11th on the grid down to 26th.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have his work cut out for him. And it's great to see, look, the consistency of race control. They are taking no prisoners at all. You know, they're not putting up with any shenanigans. If you're going to push and push the wrong way, they're going to push back.
Lap 4 of 45. So far, so good. Now, it's interesting too, isn't it? One of the things about this course, normally when we come here racing in an IndyCar, they won't start the race. They won't wave the green flag until the back straight right here. Where that DRS sign is usually where they hit the gas and get going. So that was a little bit different for us tonight. And due to the nature of the short main straight and where the start-finish line is located, that's why half the field was backed up around the last corner. I'd love to get another look at that at the end of the race when we show you the replay, ladies and gentlemen, just how far backed up around the corner the field was. It was a sight to behold. Good numbers on the field, on the grid tonight. Huge field. There's a move on the inside as well. Brian Borg making his way through. And Brian Borg had a disappointing qualifying, JP. He started down in 29th, but he's already made light work of 9 of them up into the top 20 now.
Yeah, absolutely. Not sure what happened with Brian there. He maybe just couldn't put a lap together and didn't have a good qualifying session. But yeah, look out for him. He's going to make his way through the field tonight.
5 of 45, and this is a processional sort of race at the moment. No real biff and barge that you'd come to expect from the guys at the top end of town. And to be fair, whilst they settle into a rhythm, it's been in strategy play where most of the toing and throwing has been done throughout the course of the season. So this is running true to form so far. it doesn't make for great viewing, but it does at the back end of the night when these guys start flexing their muscle. Once the strategy is out, and it's up to the driver then to carry on with the task. So stand by for that. Trouble there, car off the circuit. It's David Coleman rejoining. Oh, geez. And there'll be a drive-through penalty for car 46 as well, and that's Justin Pennefather.
Let's have a look and see what happened here to David Coleman. I think he may have gone just a little too deep under brakes here, perhaps. Yep. Yeah, look at that. Big lock up, gone a bit too deep, out on the grass. Now, this is dangerous here because everybody's coming in nice and tight. Look, he did the right thing. He managed to stop the car, and look, yeah, well done.
Absolutely. Also car contact on lap 2 there for the 61. So on car number 640. So car number 61 is also going to bear the brunt of a drive-through penalty in all of that. So there's quite a bit going on out there in the early stages. Whilst there's no hip and shoulder at the front end of town and things are rather, you know, smooth and, as I said earlier, a little bit processional in sorts, there's obviously some garbage going on down the back end of the field, and that was Dylan Pereira, the 61, copping the penalty on this occasion. So, JP, his season just keeps it just keeps getting punctuated by unfortunate moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, he had a bit of bad luck starting the season, and then he kind of made his own luck. But look, this is Dylan's second season racing in the supercar. So you've got to remember, he only started racing in the supercar, I think it was a couple of weeks before he started last season. So he still has a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of refining to do. And once he comes on, he is going to be he's going to be one to watch for sure.
Indeed, he will be.
And look, while I'm talking about this, have a look at this guy, Sean McNamara. Now he's the quiet achiever. You know, he hasn't really set the world on fire this season, but he's been there or thereabouts, and now he's sitting in fourth, and he's starting to put the pressure to Rehan Leonage.
Yep, never underestimate a champion. He's eventually going to find his gear, and that's what we've seen from Sean McNamara throughout the course of the season. That drive at Long Beach was phenomenal, and he'll be hoping to finish the season strong. Make no mistake, doesn't matter who he's partnered with, where they are situated in the championship, this is a guy to watch on Sunday, December 12, when we bring you the Goodyear Autocare Warana 1000 from the Mount Panorama circuit. In the meantime, here we go. Through and down. Right on board with McNamara, chasing Leonage. They've lost Rainer Costello. He's built a gap beyond a second now. And that's the gap from Rudd to Costello as well, for interest's sake. Round they come. Second last corner, main straight. Another lap in the book. 8 of 45. So not quite at 20% race distance. Remembering, of course, the 9-lap marker is 20%. So therefore, 34 laps is 75% tonight. So that's where you need to be classified. That was the incident that copped Dylan Pereira a drive-through. In fact, he may as well have just exited stage left and kept on going, really. He was pointed in that direction for a moment.
Have a look at this.
But obviously, he had to wait. He had to wait for the stewards to award the penalty. Now look at this. Look at this. McNamara on the outside of Leonage. McNamara, the third. Got him. Leonage will hang there, hang there, hang there. Get him back on the inside. This is brilliant. The experience of McNamara, the youthful exuberance of Leonage, and Leonage now needs to get the elbows out. Down the inside. Got him. Now look at Cameron Jones. He wants a piece of this as well. And Jones will take Leonage around the outside. Now up the inside. And I don't know if I'm Sean McNamara, I don't know who I'd want behind me more. Leonage or Jones. You're probably happy to have Leonage there from a championship standpoint as Jamie Dyke goes into pit lane. And there was no further action on the incident on lap 1 either with the 956. It's important to know. But we know that Jones isn't afraid to get down and dirty. So when it comes to racecraft and executing overtaking manoeuvres, so if you're Sean McNamara, whilst you're happy to be past Leonage right now, you would have been happier to have him directly behind you, not Cameron Jones, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this might have been a little bit of inexperience by Leonage, and he did what any driver would naturally do here. Coming down this section here, he's gone to the he's gone to the right there to try to protect his line. But because this is such a quick succession of corners there, it enabled McNamara to get onto the inside for the next corner and get right up beside him. And the coup de grace was really coming out of that little hump there where McNamara just gave him a little bit of hip and shoulder, squared him up and said, no, I'll take that, thank you.
Up 9 of 45. And Leonage has slipped back to 5th position. But we know that his dad will be crunching the numbers with regards to strategy and hoping to get him back on the podium. That being said, every driver in this series has an off night or has an off circuit. No further action also on an incident with car 123 as well. So, interesting, JP. It's not often you see race control announcing no further action. It's normally a penalty of some description, but tonight there's obviously been a couple of incidents that they've deemed purely that, racing incidents, which is good to see as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we're getting down to the pointy end of the season, every single point counts. So if somebody feels like they've been hard done by, they will call race control and ask them to have a look at an incident.
Yep. In fact, race control, if anything, will be busier in the lead up to Bathurst than what they probably will be on Bathurst Day, and that's saying something. Have a look at this. In the meantime, you're right on board with a 9.51. Sean McNamara out chasing Rainer Costello at the moment.
Now,
Dylan Rudd's building his lead to 2.1 seconds as well, JP, important to note.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of interesting news to sort of add on there. We're talking about every single point counting. So after last week's race, when Rainer Costello took off a bit early, took off early on the restart of the last safety car period, a lot of people, he got himself a drive-through penalty, but a lot of people didn't realise that along with that gets a 1-point penalty. And drivers during the week went through the rule books and said, hang on a second, isn't there supposed to be a 1-point penalty awarded? And race control awarded a 1-point penalty to Rainer. Now,
when you say 1 point, is that a championship point, or what's the protocol there, mate? Just explain that for us.
It would have been 1 championship point.
Okay, so 1 championship point. So unlucky for Rainer, because if you want to talk about 1 point, that's all he lost the first series by earlier this year. So it's an interesting point you make. And it could be the defining moment. Who knows? 11 of 45, so almost 25% race distance here, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw on screen there too as well, a couple of drive-through penalties being confirmed. So race control cracking the whip in the early stages. There has been a little bit of argy-bargy stuff tonight, but mostly clean and uneventful race in many respects.
Yep. Now I'm going to jump on a soapbox here, Zach.
Go for it.
Have a look at Matthew Scholes here. He's driving around with no boot and no rear wing on his car, and he's able to hold off Sam Noble and Brian Borg. I want everybody watching to get onto iRacing and tell them, come on, fix the supercars. If you lose your rear wing, the thing should be undrivable, and you should need to go into the pits.
I'm with you on that. We had a very similar situation over on a Gentleman Sim Racing Club broadcast the other night as well. And we were making exactly the same remarks, mate. Exactly the same remarks. We know that some cars and some damage models have been improved along the way by iRacing, but now,
Dylan Pereira.
We've got to spin up. Dylan Pereira's gone round. And this is, I think, on the main straight. I think I'm right in saying, have a look at this. This is Dylan Pereira coming round onto the main straight. He's going to do it all on his own.
Yeah, you just get that corner just wrong and you get that throttle down and it will just rotate you.
First major incident of the night in a sketchy part of the racetrack, because all you need there is another driver to do exactly the same thing, and Pereira would have company. Thankfully, he's got it out of there cleanly. We continue on caution-free for the moment. Now, interesting to see as well, JP, a couple of drivers opt to pit around lap 8, lap 11, etc. and so forth. Simon Vella, the latest to jump in on lap 11. And that goes back to the point I was making there earlier. Brian Borg's also been in on lap 11. That if you look at the numbers here and the flexibility you have, and this is one thing that I should have, but I didn't think about it earlier because I was looking at the 25-20 sort of playing field and also the potential to mix it up with the second stint. Well, alternatively, you can do it for all three. If you want to run 3 15-lap stints, that might be easier for you. I don't know. But already there's a couple of drivers that have opted to come in as early as lap 11. So that should give them, do 17-lap stints home. 34 from there. And just as I say that, Rick Sibra in pit lane. Dylan Rudd leads Rainer Costello, Sean McNamara, Cameron Jones, and Rehan Leonage at the moment. Top 5. And Blake Delaney. I can tell you that Sean McNamara is under pressure from Cameron Jones and Rehan Leonage. And that's the battle you're watching. But they have lost the front two. Costello and Rudd are gone, and Rudd leads by 2.5. Lap 13 of 45. When will these guys opt to stop? Obviously, some of the guys further down the order, lower in the field, they're running the different strategies, trying to buy themselves some clear air or trying to repair some damage or whatever the case may be. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, and an interesting point about the early pit stop. The early pit stop's a great idea if you can get out into clear traffic, and it looks like I just had a look at Brian Borg before. He took the early stop and he was buried in traffic there, so that would have cost him a bit of time.
Exactly right. Now just some real world news coming into the broadcast booth at this point in time. And I'm thinking MotoGP, of course. Now, we're all interested as we ride on board with Brian Borg here in MotoGP this Sunday night because of Remy Gardner potentially claiming the Moto2 World Championship. But Marc Marquez will miss that round as well. He wasn't on the grid last week. He's going to miss that round as well due to some, what MotoGP are reporting, vision problems at the moment. It was concussion last week. It's vision this week. Marc Marquez off the grid again, which is unfortunate for the multiple world champion. Meantime, back to the sim world. And we continue on here with Ben Morris. Sitting there in position number 7 at the moment. That's Blake Delaney ahead of him. And Jamie Davis behind him. Now, of those in the top 10, Jamie's made more progress than anyone up through the field, up 5 places from 13th up into 8th. The biggest mover so far, David Nash, up from 24th to 14th. However, JP, we can't read too much into those numbers just at the moment because the order is a little bit lopsided with the fact that we've already seen the pit stop sequence and cycle underway.
Yeah, we've really got to wait until these first set of pit stops cleanse and see where everyone's sitting. Although it kind of looks like Jamie's been moving up the field well. These guys have been moving up the field slowly, so they're doing really well. And while we're talking about people recovering, we've got to send a huge shout out to Mark Duggan, one of our race control. Oh, hang on a second. We're looking
Big
at
move on the inside. Delaney and Morris couldn't get the job done.
Good
boy.
move to move back across there and cover himself. Otherwise, he left himself open to Jamie Davis. But as I was saying, send a big shout out to Mark Duggan. Mark Duggan's one of the volunteer race control operators, and he's been spending a few days in hospital, unfortunately not feeling too well. So Mark, sending you a big shout out, mate. Hope you feel better soon. Looking forward to seeing you come back in race control and chatting with you.
You're right. That was an aggressive and a good move by Morris, but even smarter racecraft to move across and cover off the move from Jamie Davis. But forceful. Blake Delaney will know that he's got his work cut out for him tonight. Back-to-back podiums in the last couple of weeks for Delaney. Not looking like he might be able to convert it that way tonight. However, we'll wait and see because there's still a long way to go. 16 of 45. And this is SimShed Broadcasting's coverage of the Real Sim Racing Australia Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries. Round 7 thereof. It's our 8th race of the championship. Next week, races 9 and 10 take us to Road America. Yep, Super Sprint Racing, including a full reverse green off the circuit. That's Robert Crisdale with a big off at the hairpin at turn 2. I'm not sure. Did he come out of there or did he clout the wall? Let's have a look at this on replay. Robert Crisdale, right on cue, delivers the best drama of the night thus far. Have a look at this. He was up there on the outside of Simon Chadwick. I think that was. And then he's clipped the grass under brakes. That'll do it every day of the week. Gone. And he can kiss it goodbye. He has been able to get back on the racetrack. So no safety car, but did he keep it off the wall? Yes, he did. Well done. Smart racecraft, but costly at the same time. And we talk about it being a centimetre. Dennis Cometti's old phrase, centimetre perfect. I think about it all the time, JP, because at the end of the day, those white lines, if you're 1 millimetre the wrong side thereof, your history, you're toast.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to use, with this track, you really have to use every single skerrick of track. And like you said, you know, you just step over that white line, you get the back tyre on the grass, and it's pretty much all over bar the crying.
Now, special delivery to the commentary box in the shape and form of a different voice for you, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Davis, our anchor on Wednesday nights, is alongside us. Hello, mate.
Good evening, Zach, Cave and JP, and everybody watching at home. And what a feeling it is to be back on Tuesday Night Motorsport. I'm a bit late to the show tonight, but nevertheless, I am still here and might end up calling a few of the rest of the laps with you, Zach Cave.
Hey, why not? And always welcome, mate, although you're going to have to explain the new Discord profile picture in the meantime. But it's lap, it's lap 18 for you right here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Sorry, not the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting. Jeez, I just got totally off side. Anyway.
It's Tuesday night, not Monday night, Zach.
Yeah, no, exactly. I just had one of those moments.
Now, guys, I just have to reply to a comment on YouTube by Gunja. How come this wasn't scheduled on YouTube channel? Missed the start. I got to apologise. Look, I spent 5 days sick last week, and this week was just recovery time. And I was actually lucky to get everything ready on time to be even able to do the broadcast tonight. But I promise next week I'll have this broadcast scheduled on YouTube.
Well,
Exactly
I suggest, JP, that you rest up for the rest of the night and just click a few buttons, and I'll take the rest of your seat, I think, for tonight and let you rest up just that little bit more.
Consider me rested.
Exactly. Thank you, JP. Right. Let's ride on board here with Sean Mack. Is this? No, it's Dylan Rudd. It's the number one. We've got the number one. I saw the one there, and then as soon as I didn't see the 9.5 beside it, I knew who we were with. Dylan Rudd, we're riding on board with the race leader at the moment. Into the last sequence of corners he comes, back onto the main straight. I had one of those moments where I just went totally dyslexic because I was trying to calculate numbers, days of the week, and everything else, and it all turned to the proverbial. It's lap 19 of 45. So important to note there, Matt Davis, with the fact that we've got 18 in the book, 40% race distance is covered. We're on our way to halfway, and we should see the top end of town here, the top 12, on pit road very shortly. We're crunching the numbers before the race. There's a few different ways to play the strategy tonight. We always like it when that's the case. But 19.5 is roughly tank capacity. So if not this time by, definitely next time by for Dylan Rudd.
Yeah, I'm fairly familiar with Mid-Ohio. I believe it was the second or third stop when I first joined the RSRA, formerly known as the nationwide tracking systems, and then moved over to the technology systems with the name change. But when I first joined the NTS series, as it was formerly known as, I believe this was the second or third track that I actually raced at. And I had a decent finish. I finished about mid-pack with a misfortune about mid-race as we come through this section now. Actually, driver spun out in front of me and I had nowhere else to go. As I think that was Leonage getting a little bit sideways out of there as well. So a very, very tricky track, but race distances and fuel numbers, not so much in the book for me tonight. I mean, I've got a little bit of brushing up to do before tomorrow night. Luckily, I've got the day off to do so, Zach Caban, because I believe if tonight's anything to go by with what I've been watching, the boys tomorrow night are definitely going to turn it on. And apologies for last week as well, ladies and gentlemen, for the broadcast. But as JP said, crook as a dog, and there's no other way to put it. He was crook as a dog and on bed rest, so there was no other thing to do but to unfortunately miss last week's race. But we will recap it, no doubt, tomorrow night in the post race and the pre-race show.
Now, on that note, Dylan Rudd's been and gone from pit lane. Simon Chadwick is just ahead of him at the moment, but off sequence with everybody else. So Chadwick will be back on pit road very shortly. Jamie Dyke, however, has pitted on a different strategy to Dylan Rudd. He is ahead of Dylan Rudd at the moment, and David Nash is in behind. Dylan Rudd has rejoined this race in 12th position. Cameron Jones has rejoined down in 16th, and the other car that they were in with as well was Brenton Nitschke, who's rejoined in 21st. So Rainer Costello, Sean McNamara, they go for the long run here. 1 and 2 at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see as, here it is. Rainer Costello in on cue. Sean McNamara follows it in, and so does Rehan Leonage. So the top three all on pit road right now. It'll be interesting to see where these guys come out in relation to Dylan Rudd. But one thing's for certain, and I think we've mentioned this a couple of times already. JP said at the top of the call, Matt Davis, that if you give Dylan Rudd an inch, he'll take a mile. You couldn't afford to let him get away here. He knows this track like the back of his hand almost, and he has made light work of the competition thus far. He had a 2.5-second lead going into that first sequence of pit stops.
He's a formidable force in this series, Dylan Rudd.
There you go, Rehan.
Goes for the short stop.
There you go.
And the short stop and gets out 2 seconds. Even quicker, actually, 8 seconds quicker than Costello there.
And one driver back in the pack had to reverse back into his box. I saw at the back a shot. I don't know who it was, but we had one driver miss their box and had to reverse back in.
Now, have a look at this.
Leonage has sold them the dummy yet again, and McNamara's got ahead of Dylan Rudd as well. So McNamara's pulled off the undercut on Dylan Rudd. But let's have a look at let's compare the times here. Rainer Costello went through pit lane in 18:48. Rehan Leonage 10:33. Jamie Dyke 12:65. Dylan Rudd 23:85.
One thing to note,
and then Sean McNamara 23:87. So, I mean, Rudd and McNamara are full. They're going to the end. However, we're not sure what that means for the guys around them when they're expected back on pit road. Leonage, Costello, and also Jamie Dyke, Matt Davis.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Leonage, Costello, Dyke ahead of Rudd at the moment. And what's interesting is Leonage, Costello ahead of Dyke, ahead of Rudd with the short pit stop. So Dylan Rudd really fueled up right to the end from here. 24 laps to go, and this could be on. I mean, there's not a substantial gap. There is a big enough gap where the fuel loads may differ, and a big enough gap, but I don't see it panning out on pit road there.
Apologies for the earlier slip of the tongue, folks. Of course, we actually cross-referenced my two sim racing broadcast employers earlier when we were talking about the rear end of one of the supercars being off and still running like a stolen train, when it should have been running like a wounded warrior. But anyway, we'll correct that in due course. 22 of 45. So next time I'll be half race distance. Let's be very mindful of that as well. 22 and a half and 22 and a half gets you to 45, of course. Nothing wrong with the mathematics. 23 will be 50% in terms of rounding it up, and 34 will be 75 for the benefit of anyone wanting to classify or be classified tonight and score some championship points. Pocket them. What's very interesting here is that Blake Delaney leads this race at the moment, having not stopped yet. This is an interesting development here. He's onto a 23rd lap is Blake Delaney. He has not stopped. But this is interesting because if he can pull this off again, Matt Davis, he can do this on one stop with a massive fuel save effort. So he might just throw everyone a dummy now.
Yeah, I mean the Fishy boys really have turned it on in the past couple of weeks. I watched the closing moments of last week's race, And what a race that was. I mean, I was sitting at home having a cold beer and on the edge of my seat to see what would happen. And when I saw Rayner Costello dive into the pits due to the unforeseen circumstances that he copped, and saw what the end of the race was going to propose to a six-car battle for the lead, and then seeing the Fisher boys right up there yet again for another week, you know, those guys really are starting to gel with this series and gel with the drivers out on track. They're really starting to learn them and starting to really give us a mix of some cars up the front, as we have got McNamara down the 307. That'd be Kirby making the move up the inside of Kirby there. I'm surprised I even remember the numbers on Tuesday night, Zach Haven. It's been that long since I've actually had a proper call.
Trust me, I've been here every Tuesday night. I still don't remember all the numbers, but that's another story. 307.
I guess I was just lucky that I saw David Kirby on stream before I even tuned into
Blake Delaney's in, by the way, mate. Blake Delaney in at the end of lap 23, and that is so critical to note, because if you can pull that off a second time round, a full tank, fill it to the brim, he'll need 22 laps, and then he'll need to save fuel on that run home. Obviously, save more fuel on that run home to make sure that he doesn't get a 3-spot penalty. So we'll wait and see how all that plays out. But what we've also got to be mindful of is the amount of time he might lose in oh, hang on, spinner. There was a car off there at the edge of turn 2, I'm pretty sure. It looked like. Can't quite. We could have a safety car coming here, folks. Yep, safety car boards and flags. Safety car boards and flags. Car pulled up on the grass on the side of the road at turn 1 there. And I'm pretty sure there was a car off at turn 2 as well. So the safety car will be on the circuit, and this works into everyone's favour, because now they can pit up and get home because of what we said earlier, 20 laps, 20-lap run, full tilt. You can get it done. So who takes the gamble, and what does it mean for Blake Delaney, who's only just pitted? So Justin Pennefather, we're on board with the 46 here. Let's have a look at this. And he's just pulled up on the grass on the side of the road at the exit of the pit lane there. Unless that's his pit bay.
Might have missed his pit bay.
That doesn't make any sense. But here's the other incident that we need to have a look at. This is Simon Chadwick in the meantime. On the run to turn 2. Oh, no. So that was the car that we saw parked there. We caught the nose of the car as the shot that we were taking at the time, and the group that we were watching at the time were coming through into there. I'm not entirely sure what the problem is here, but we've got Pennefather and Chadwick parked off circuit. So, yeah, Chadwick's still there. So unless Chadwick's done an engine or something. Rayner Costello has not pitted, whilst everybody else has, by the looks of this, Matt Davis, and that could be costly in the greater scheme of things as well. Oh, Jesus. There's so much going on here at the moment. I hope you're enjoying it wherever you're tuning in around Australia on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting, Facebook, YouTube, Tuesday Night Motorsport. How good is it? Matt Davis back in the commentary box. Just the icing on the cake. And we have got a safety car at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We have got an opportunity right here and now with 21 laps to go, 20 after this, to fuel up and get home. It will be a sprint to the checkered flag. And if you're Blake Delaney, you're licking your lips at this stuff, because you've just pitted, you got a 23-lap run in, you don't need to stop, and now the task of fuel saving is going to be made a heck of a lot easier. It was a mighty effort to save an extra 3 laps on the likes of Leonage and McNamara for starters, Matt Davis, but the fact that then he's got a safety car to help that fuel save job, Blake Delaney could all of a sudden be a dark horse here. If we've got Matt in the room, I'm not sure at the moment. It's lap 25 or 45.
There we go. I'm back again. My headset's decided to play a little bit of a
the old technological issue.
Yeah, the old technology glitch, mate. It's not the U-Pix of NBN. It's the technology glitch of the headset, and I think that's going to be abolished very, very soon. And
let's just have a look at this too, guys. JP.
Now, Rayner has to be very careful here. He cannot let the safety car get more than 5 car lengths ahead of him. If he does that, he will get a drive-through penalty.
And after last week's horror show, he would not want another one.
No,
Now,
definitely not.
you might notice as well, guys, all the field moving across to the inside of the circuit, so that the lap traffic and the guys not on the lead lap and out of the queue can make their way around past the field, past the safety car, and join on at the back of the queue. So the longer the safety car goes, the better this is. Now, what's going to be interesting here too, guys, you know, Rainer Costello's quite clever at his craft here, ladies and gentlemen, because he's just sent me a message and said my strategy is bleeped right now. And he's also said, count me out of this one. However, in saying all of that, could he potentially save enough fuel across, what is this now? This is the third lap of the safety car. And it looks like it might go around one more time because of the lap traffic coming around to catch up. If it goes round again, he could save fuel all the way to the checkered flag. But the fact that he didn't jump the gun and go into pit lane along with so many others who did, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Rehan Leonage is the best of those that has stopped twice. He's fourth, just ahead of Dylan Rudd. Sean McNamara's in behind them. Blake Delaney, we know, has only pitted once, and we know why that is. We know that he's good to the end. Jamie Dyke has stopped twice. The fact that he stopped on lap 8, then lap... Rainer short-fueled lap on the first stop. I forgot about that. So, yeah, no, count him out indeed, unfortunately. But he did take his tyres, he's just revealed to us as well. I don't know if I'm supposed to be giving away secrets at the moment, but I'm sure he'd be telling me if I wasn't allowed to. So, yeah, this just reached a really critical junction. Because, as we said, Rainer's missed an opportunity there to jump into the lane and top up and get home. Cameron Jones and Ben Morris have also missed a chance. I mean, but that being said, Matt Davis, you've got to think on your toes sometimes in this game, and I don't know if the guys were prepared to come in and complete a second pit stop so soon after the first. It's a strange sort of situation here. The safety car is going to go around one more time, though.
Yeah, it's extremely strange. It's doing this. So a lot of these drivers don't have personal crew chiefs or spotters and so on. So it's extremely hard to do this on the fly. You know, for Blake Delaney, he may have a spotter. So they either would have said, look, mate, you've just pitted, you may as well stay out. You're on the freshest tyres of them all. Or they might have said, look, come in for a splash and dash, just a couple litres, an extra fresh set of tyres, if they had the opportunity to take that and go on to the end. So it's extremely hard to really do this on the fly, and especially in the heat of a race. You're thinking over, you know, 6 corners ahead, where you're going to overtake the person in front of you, what lap number are we on, what everyone else is doing in the field, what's happening on behind me. So to try and diagnose that through your brain and do all that while trying to steer 650 horsepower around a NASCAR circuit in probably one of the most undulating technical tracks there is on iRacing, with as little grip as possible, the drivers really have it cut out for them.
Absolutely, they do. Now, just having a look down through the field, Matthew Scholes also has only stopped once, but now that Blake Delaney's proved that you can get 23 to a tank, he might see if he can get 24. David Nash has also only stopped once thus far. Robbie Bradbury has only stopped once thus far. Everybody else in the top 25 has stopped more than once. The most positions gained thus far belongs to Brian Borg from 29th up to 13th, 16 positions gained. David Nash also 13 positions gained. Safety car lights out. The safety car is heading back towards the pit lane now. We'll get ready for a race restart here. And round 7, race 8 of the championship. Races 9 and 10 next week, and then it's 11, 12, and yep, the big one is obviously 13. Ladies and gentlemen, looking forward to the Goodyear Autocare Warana Bathurst 1000 in 33 days' time. Matt Davis and I are here for the day-long marathon, and we're looking forward to it immensely. In the meantime, 19 laps to go will become 18 laps to go, and these guys should be good to go to the end, except for Rainer Costello. We're not sure about Cameron Jones, and we're not sure about Rehan Leon. Rehan Leonage will be okay. We're not sure about Blake Delaney in terms of where he will fit in pace-wise with the guys around him, because obviously to save the fuel that he did in the first stint, he was clocking a little bit slower than the guys around him. But now that he's good to go to the end, what will he bring to the table? We're back and racing in Mid-Ohio, Lexington, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And Rainer Costello leads the field through. So am I right in saying, I'm just having a look down through the order here, I think one of the guys that stayed out, Ben Morris. Yeah, Ben Morris has released himself from that pack. He was third after the second lap behind the safety car there, and he did come in. Morris is working his way back through from 22nd. I think he woke up to what Rainer was talking about via Discord Messenger there, Matt Davis, and has come in and now has the hard task ahead of him. Simon Vella off the circuit at the moment as well. So, yeah, interesting that Rainer and Cameron, despite the fact that it would have put them right down the order, but they would have had enough fuel to charge through to the finish and maybe try and salvage something, they're now just going to play an alternate strategy and try and go like scalded cats and hope like hell that they get another safety car. If not, well, they'll reap their losses, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we know Rainer Costello can really pull the cat out of the bag, or out of the hat, should I say, in dire moments. I mean, he's already checking out from Cameron Jones. He's only half a second in front as of now, but we know how strong Rainer Costello can be on old tyres. We know that, and I personally know as well, that he looks after tyres really, really well when he needs to. So I'm quite unsure of what track temps are. I mean, you've got the server up, so you might be able to enlighten me here, but we know that on a cold track, Rainer Costello is blistering quick, and by the looks of it, it is overcast. I'm unsure about the temperature outside of the track
26 and 27. 26
there we
27
go.
on track, but I tell you what, I can't wait for the iRacing rain model, Matt Davis, because those clouds would be leashing. They'd be unleashing water on this track at the moment. They're
certainly.
that dark.
And can you imagine Mid-Ohio on a wet track?
Oh, mate, wouldn't it be fantastic?
And even to accumulate rain in our Bathurst. Oh, there's a car up in the background by the looks of it as well. One of the Frog Leap boys, it may be. I just saw that at the very top of my screen there, Zach. We might be able to get back to that for a replay. But as I was saying, imagine trying to we can implement rain into our Bathurst events. I mean, we all know, ladies and gentlemen, that it rains every year at Bathurst, without a doubt, whether it be a drizzle.
Cameron Jones into the pit lane as well.
Pits. There we go. So Cameron Jones in the pits as well. But imagine having a little bit of rain, just at Bathurst, just a drizzle.
Wouldn't it be something?
And what it would do. It'd turn the race on its head, upside down, and it'd give us the best entertainment we have ever seen.
Well, that actually goes to say that if you are tuning in on December 12th, just expect, dry track all day long. That's why we keep talking about the potential of running it in sub 6 hours this year. We ran it in 6 neat last year. We'll wait and see what this year offers up. But then, of course, when you've got a circuit where it can rain at the top of the mountain, not the bottom of the mountain, and vice versa, and then you've got a 6-hour race. And if it's like the F1 video games on PlayStation here, as Dylan Rudd has a lunge around the outside again of Rehan Leonage. The effective race leader is Dylan Rudd. Leonage will hang there. He'll try and get him back on the inside. No, but now he needs to be smart and cover off McNamara. And he's able to do that. Dylan Rudd back to the front. Dylan Rudd back to the front. This is exactly what he needs. As far as his championship is concerned, we know he's down in 7th. We know he needs to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Chalking up first place pole positions and race finishes, race wins. He's the only way to do that for the number one at this point in time. He's wide, he's wide. He's made a mistake, but he's been able to gather it up there on the inside. Leonage continues to hang there on the outside. There was nearly a touch between them. They're rubbing panels in Mid-Ohio, and there goes McNamara through on the inside. Leonage back to 3rd. Now here's Jamie Dyke wanting a piece of the action as well, and Blake Delaney's right there with them too. Leonage back down the inside of McNamara. Thank you very much. And all the meanwhile, Dylan Rudd saying, you guys play as hard as you like. Let me skip clear. Leonage, will he stay there on the inside when they get to the end of the back straight? Yes, he will, but he's got to be mindful of that crisscross, that switch over. That switch back. McNamara to the outside. Got him. Dyke will capitalise on that as well, and that's exactly what we talked about. Beautifully done from Jamie Dyke, but Leonage forces the issue for a little bit longer. Now Dyke gets it done. exactly the same. Unfortunately, the inexperience of Leonard's just rising to the surface there, because he's made the same mistake on 3 occasions, and it's cost him 3 positions this time round.
I want to almost call it the inexperience that gave him. Yes, he is a very, very young driver and the youngest one in the field, but a wise driver in that, and he's probably got one of the best drivers sitting just behind him right now of Lasseth Leonard. But I think it was more McNamara and Dyke just playing very, very smart there and capitalising on the battle between Leonard and Rudd there. And McNamara being able to push Leonard wide in 1, make him hold the tight line in 2, and then obviously going for the over-under in turns 3 and 4, and then Dyke just capitalised there on. So I think it was a very well played by Dyke and McNamara then. And Leonard's is definitely going to have the devil horns out right now and seek a little bit of revenge, I think, and try and make up a couple of positions.
Of course, what works well in his favour is that 3rd is still very much up for grabs tonight with Jamie Dyke. However, that's only because he'll be buying Rainer Costello a soft drink at the end of this and saying thank you for mucking up the strategy. Because Rainer Costello otherwise would be right in the mix as well, and it'd be very hard for Leonard to capitalise and grab a podium in all of this. The way this is playing out, it's working out beautifully for Sean McNamara. What about Blake Delaney, though? He's not too far off these guys. He's still in fuel-safe mode, trying to do it on 1 stop. Everyone else on 2. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think Delaney will be right to get home, but at what cost? And we'll no doubt get a chance to ask him or his teammate Jamie Dyke at the end of this broadcast that exact question as they cross the line once more. 33 or 45. Now, we were heading for a 1-hour race. We're going to be well in excess of an hour now, thanks to that safety car chalking up or chewing up a bit of time, I should say. Now, David Kirby all over the back there and then up the inside. Good move. Nicely done. Into 7th on Matthew Scholes. Trouble at the back. Trouble at the back. Big incident. Jamie Davis off circuit. But he's got back on. But geez, I tell you what, there was contact. There was hip and shoulder, and that was nearly very, very nasty. Let's have a look at this. There was a tank slapper that led to it. Yep, Bushka. Oh no.
Excellent turnaround there by Jamie Davis as well, Zacko.
Exactly right. And another supercar minus the rear end for the rest of the night, running as though it's unimpeded. Just count the battered and bruised warriors out here at the end of the night for us, ladies and gentlemen. Next time by will be 75% race distance, folks. So it'll be 34 or 45 is what we're on once we get back to the line, 75% race distance. And tonight, there are quite a few drivers staring down championship points, quite a few drivers staring down not getting championship points as well, I might add. Robert Crisdale's out of business by the look of that. We know Simon Chadwick's been in pit lane for a while. It's a blind engine for Chadwick. Pennefather, Barchin and Crossingham as well, not classified in all of that. Big opportunity here and now. That's what it was. So Justin Pennefather missed his pit bay and had to tow. That's why he was parked up on the inside on the grass there at turn 1. Geez, hard luck for him. But and yeah, Lindsay Hobbs is still out there. Sam Noble's been in pit lane for over a minute now, Matt Davis. So that might be a little bit of drama for him. But Lindsay Hobbs is out there despite the fact that he's 5 laps down. He should still get classified with the championship points here tonight. He'll be 26th or 27th in the greater scheme of things, but everyone beyond that is out of business.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a little bit inside as well for the Iridium boys. I actually had Devon Stove get contact with you just a little bit earlier, and they may have a new sponsor coming on board for the 2022 season. So a little bit of insight for the Iridium Cinesport boys. So something to look out for next season, no doubt. Have a look at their social media pages to see what's going to be happening for their 2022 season.
Jeez, we're talking about 2022 already. I'm not even through 2021 yet.
We're almost halfway through November, Zach.
I know. I know.
We're almost at the Bathurst 1000. I mean, it's getting
We're a
closer
month away.
by the minute. Yeah, it's
3 wide.
Oh, fuck.
Oh.
You don't
Tight.
say that too often.
But they made it work. Well done, boys. Kept it on the black stuff. Good stuff. Now, is that Craig Schultz or Ben Morris in behind these guys there? It's It is Benny Morris, yeah. So Morris is chasing Nitschke and Barnes. Yep, that adds up. And of course, Dean Alessi is the car on screen there at the moment. Dean Alessi sitting there in position 13. Chris Barnes is 14th. Morris, after being caught out by the safety car, sitting down in 16th at the moment. A case of what might have been for him tonight. Rainer Costello still going. For how much longer, we don't know. It can't be too much longer before we see him in pit lane to fill up and get the checkered flag. But we'll wait and see. Dylan Rudd, Sean McNamara, Jamie Dyke will be the effective top 3 once Rainer Costello comes to pit lane. Rehan Leonage and Blake Delaney in making it the top 5 at this point in time. The corrected order once Rainer comes in. However, let's have a look at this onto the main straight. We're riding with Brenton Nitschke at this point in time. He's under tremendous pressure from Benny Morris. Benny Morris gives him a nudge.
A little bit of a tap.
Gives him a big shove through turn 1. Benny Morris on a mission here. He wants 15th. He wants to take it away from Brenton Nitschke. He will do so right.
Oh,
no, he won't.
wide.
Nitschke round the outside, boxed himself out. Unfortunately, ran himself too deep, I think, and Morris is going to have the inside line for the next quarter. Morris and Nitschke side by side. Morris has got him, and they need to be careful because Jamie Davis wants a piece of that as well, and he says thanks very much. Through they go. Nice bit of driving there from Ben Morris. And Davis as well capitalising. Nitschke back to 18th because Coleman took a piece of that as well. That was good stuff. 10 laps to go. We're on lap 36. Make it 37 now as Rainer Costello comes onto the main straight across the start-finish line. Awesome stuff.